All right, looks like we have 9 o'clock here, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the fire weather briefing for Washington State and North Idaho for this August the 28th, 2025. We've got Antoinette over in Spokane and myself, Dustin, here in Seattle. And before we get started, we'll just go ahead and forward this disclosure here. The meeting is being recorded, so by joining and participating in the session, consent is being given to the recording. And for NOAA policy, please keep your cameras off. Just taking here a look at the current satellite imagery, we do have a broad upper level ridge over the western United States. And within this ridge, we do have a little upper level weather disturbance rotating through Washington State today, which is going to be our main weather maker, and we'll discuss that shortly. And then we do see another upper level low off the coast over the offshore waters, and that will also potentially be a weather maker as we get into potentially this weekend. Just looking at the radar, we do see some showers rotating through the northern half of Washington State around that upper level disturbance, and that will continue to be a factor as we go through the day today. Again, there we see the satellite imagery showing those clouds rotating around the low, or rather the upper level disturbance that is lifting north through Washington State today. Fortunately, we haven't seen too much lightning over the last 24 hours, just a couple of strikes in the Cascades, although one of them is near what's called the Perry Fire there in the North Cascades. So looking at the fire weather summary for the next 7 days, the main highlight in the very short term is the chance for showers and thunderstorms with that upper level disturbance rotating through our area. As we get into Friday, we start to dry out and warm up a little bit. And then there is a potential chance for some showers and thunderstorms over our Cascades here on the west side as that low offshore kind of parks offshore over the weekend. And then we're expecting some warmer and drier conditions as we get into early next week. And then I will defer to Antoinette for the discussion for Eastern Washington and North Idaho.
Alrighty. Yeah, so the big thing today will be the chance of thunderstorms over the Cascades. I'll get into that in just a little bit. But there is that slight chance of thunderstorms through the Cascades and through northern Idaho that we're looking at today as well. And because they're wet, they could result in some rainfall, heavy rainfall. On Friday, it is warming up, but there is still a smaller chance of some thunderstorms. Those chances for thunderstorms continue through the weekend, but at the beginning of next week, we will start warming up again and becoming hot and dry. So those are the main things for this weather summary. Thanks.
Okay, yes, as we alluded to, we do have that disturbance lifting north through the area today. So because the fuels are so dry over for the past couple of months now that we've had such warm, dry conditions, we do have a red flag warning still in effect for our Cascades and Eastern Olympic zones because of the potential for lightning starting fires in those dry fuels. And then over there on the east side of the Cascades, we still have, it looks like, a flood watch still in effect on that side of the Cascades. And then we'll bring up the thunderstorm chances here today, and I'll bring it over to Antoinette to discuss this part.
Yeah, so there are some really high chances of thunderstorms this afternoon. So right along the Cascades, you can see that there's a 30 to 40% chance of some thunderstorms this afternoon and evening. And as well in the northern Idaho and central Idaho panhandle, there are that 30 to 40% chances too. There are 15 to 30% chances that they yellow. As you kind of get into 30 to 40, that's when you start seeing those red colors. So pretty widespread thunderstorms today. And the main thing that we're concerned with are heavy rainfall rates kind of under any thunderstorms that form, and of course lightning on those drier fuels. So that's why we have a flood watch out, just because if say a thunderstorm kind of tracks over really steep area, particularly near burn scars, it could lead to some flash flooding and debris flows. And then tomorrow, those thunderstorm chances kind of migrate eastward. There's still a little bit of a chance of thunderstorms, kind of at 15 to 30% chance in the very northern Cascades, but for the most part, it moves over to kind of far northeast Washington and the northern Idaho panhandle, seeing the highest chance, and Spokane sees a little bit of a good chance of thunderstorms too.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so here's a look again at our hazards that we currently have in effect. So you see the red flag warnings that are in effect through 9 p.m. tonight for our Cascade zones here in Western Washington and our Eastern Olympic zones. And then the previously mentioned flood watch there just east of the crest over in Spokane's area. So now let's take a look at the weather trends here over the next several days. I'll start here in Western Washington, just kind of show you here over the next couple of days and then further out in the future. Main thing of note here, at least in Western Washington, is going to be the day 1 and day 2 warming trends. So here we have temperatures for today, and then we do see a bit of a modest warm up here for tomorrow as that disturbance exits the area and we start to see the ridge rebound temporarily going into Friday. And then I will see what Antoinette has to say about that.
Yeah, Dustin, you covered it pretty nicely. Today is going to be a lot cooler just because of all the rain and cloud cover that we're seeing, but then tomorrow it starts to warm up again as that ridge kind of amplifies.
All right, sounds good. As we go through the weekend, really temperatures stay somewhat static. We have sort of a ridge in place, but we also have an influence of the trough offshore. So we don't see, at least on this side of the Cascades, any dramatic changes over the weekend. We have some onshore flow in place, which keeps temperatures in check. It's really as we get into next week, especially beyond Monday into Tuesday, when the ridge starts to really strengthen and that low offshore is expected to pull away further. That's when we start to see the warming temperatures again here on the west side, and that will certainly be the case on the east side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the main thing is the warm up and relative humidity recoveries will kind of decline too as things warm and dry. So those are really the main things to talk about in the kind of extended forecast.
Yes. So here in the short term, here's a look at the day 1 QPF today. And as you can see, the best areas of precipitation will be across the northern half of the state as that disturbance we see right now rotates northward. Going into day 2, as we saw there with the thunderstorm chances on Friday, most of the lingering chances for any kind of QPF are going to be mainly far northern Cascades in the northeast quadrant of the state. And then into day 3, potentially there's still some uncertainty how this is going to turn out, but we have that upper level low parking offshore, and we could see some southerly flow aloft. And with that, a return of some chances of some thunderstorms over our Olympics and Cascades again as we get into Saturday. Next, we'll go ahead and head over to the trends. And with that, I'll start here on the west side with Ohanapikosh and our Cascades. You can see the cooler trend today and the somewhat good rebound in relative humidities overnight as we have that upper level disturbance over us. And then a modest warming trend as we get into Friday, followed by somewhat static temperatures as we go over the weekend with that low parking offshore. And then you can really see the warming trend beginning in earnest, especially by Tuesday into Wednesday as the ridge rebounds and we get the poorer relative humidity recoveries on this side. Next, I will bring up a couple of sites here on the east side for Antoinette here. We'll start off with Kramer.
Alrighty. Yeah, the main thing that I wanted to point out is the relative humidity graphic. You can really see how much relative humidity recovery drops off kind of as we get into the weekend and even into next week with relative humidities dropping kind of into the 20%. You can also see that the temperatures will go up kind of starting Monday into Tuesday. Winds don't look to be too much of a concern right now, at least through kind of the weekend. With the ridge breakdown, we might see some winds, but that's a little later kind of in the extended forecast. But those are the main things that I wanted to show with Kramer. And for Hoodoo, you can also see decent relative humidity recovery today with all the moisture. And then for kind of the Idaho Panhandle, as you can see, it gets a little hotter, kind of gets back into the 90s, gets lower in terms of relative humidity recoveries. And so you can just really see the dry heat that's moving our way due to that ridge.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll just kind of send this off here, the final part here with the 8 to 14 day outlook. It looks like this warm pattern is going to stay with us going into the second week of September with looks like a pretty good chance of well above normal temperatures. That will be tempered with, it looks like, a continued chance of above average precipitation. The only downside of that is it could be somewhat convective in nature, meaning thunderstorms. So we'll have to see how that pans out as we get into September. But it does look like the big message is it will stay relatively warm compared to normal as we get into the tail end of the summer months here. So that concludes this briefing for today. You can see here where you can see this briefing will be posted later today. And with that, we will go ahead and end the recording and leave the floor open for questions.